Stinchfield, the podcast here. Welcome to the program. Folks, listen to me. What is going on with AI, artificial intelligence? Is it taking over the world? Has it infected the minds of members of Congress? The reason why I ask you this, there is this provision that was slipped into the big, beautiful bill that now has many members of Congress, Republicans, saying, I wouldn't have voted for this. This takes away states' rights. This is an infringement of the federal government on the ability of states to regulate itself. What does this provision say? It basically says for 10 years, states cannot make any laws basically regulating artificial intelligence. It has to be left up to the federal government. I am not for this at all. States have a right to regulate what they want to regulate as long as it doesn't infringe on your constitutional right. There's nothing written in the Constitution about artificial intelligence. There is things written and are things written about your right to keep and bear arms, your right to free speech. So when states enact laws that infringe upon your constitutional rights, I have a real issue for that. I would like to see the federal government put nationwide bans on those types of legislation at a state level. But something like AI, well, that's not the role of the federal government. That's the role of the states in many respects to regulate it, and I think it needs regulation because I saw a piece about AI, artificial intelligence, literally becoming its own species. Do you know there was an AI bot that refused to shut itself down, given commands, given emergency commands? It even sabotaged the commands, the AI did, to prolong its own life. This stuff is getting crazy. I'm going to play some of that for you. So we'll talk about the bill. We'll talk about the rise of AI. We're going to talk about Karine Jean-Pierre and now becoming an independent. What? Give me a break, you soulless, money-grabbing loser. Part of the biggest cover-up in American history, and now she's going to say she's an independent? My Lord. And also President Trump's travel ban, I guess we can call it that, a stop of immigration from 12 different countries, very dangerous countries, by the way, in an effort to keep Americans safe. Thank you, Mr. President. We're going to talk about all that on the program today. But before we do, speaking of keeping yourselves safe, do you know about Patriot Protect? I signed up for this service as soon as they came on and I learned about what they were doing. I said, you know what? I need to go on, sign up for Patriot Protect. Here's the website, patriot-protect.com/grant. You know DeepSeek, the Chinese AI model? Well, apparently DeepSeek went and scraped the internet for personal information of millions of Americans. The chances are that you're in this scrape. They got your personal addresses, birth dates, names, phone numbers, you name it, all kinds of personal information that can even be used to steal your identity. So DeepSeek then releases this onto the dark web. We know there are data brokers out there, hundreds of them, that are selling this information. Well, what Patriot Protect does is they go out, they find that information, and they remove it. They go to the data broker sites. They remove that information. So you're getting those weird text messages. You're getting the weird emails. All of it means your data was probably compromised. You know this, you owe toll booth tolls from Michigan. What? No, I don't. Your data was compromised. Get with patriot-protect.com/grant. Use the promo code GRANT for 15% off. It will continue to monitor this information. Get your personal information back, and you do it with patriot-protect.com/grant. Use that promo code GRANT for 15% off. All right, let's get the show started.
Uncensored and unapologetic. This is Stinchfield. Here's your host, Grant Stinchfield.
All right, I am so angry at members of Congress, all of them, by the way, because apparently they didn't read the bill. Now, we're supposed to have time to read bills, even big, beautiful bills that are hundreds of pages long. Somebody's got to read it. I don't think anybody does. We're just now learning of this provision on page 200 and something that says the federal government will control AI regulations, that states cannot regulate AI for 10 years. This is about individual states rights. It's about sovereignty. This is about federalism. It is against everything that I stand for when it comes to states' rights. So Marjorie Taylor Greene actually made an admission, says she wouldn't have voted for this bill if she knew about this provision.
I rise today to address the House about a clause that is in the One Big Beautiful Bill. This clause would take away state rights to make laws or regulate AI for 10 years. I think federalism is something that we must always protect, and I warn against the dangers of protecting a tech industry where we have no idea the future of what this industry will hold. AI is rapidly developing. AI has developed quickly over the past few years. Imagine what it will be 1 year from now, 5 years from now, and 10 years from now.
So we're going to actually get into some of that, because the scientists that study AI now say that AI is morphing, and it's morphing on its own, becoming its own species, that AI could possibly build itself. So we're going to, and when I say build itself, mean come up with robots that learn, then robots that build more robots, and literally become a species. Now, they're not living organisms, right? They're not created by God. They don't have blood and a heart, and they certainly don't have a soul. So what is this species? Rise of the robots, I guess, but it is quite frightening. This is why we need to allow states to regulate AI if they think necessary. Now, I'm not big on regulation, but I believe when it comes to AI, this is like building nuclear bombs. This has the ability to destroy society in general.
When we look to the future, we cannot take away states' rights to regulate or make laws to protect the people in their state or to regulate businesses that operate in their state. That would be destroying the very foundation of this country, which is federalism. We must always limit federal power and protect state power. Now, the pushback and the reasons that I've been told about this is that American tech and AI companies must be able to compete with China. Well, American tech and AI companies can compete with China, and they should compete with China. However, we don't destroy federalism in order to allow them to do that.
Agreed. And this is a problem. Now, AI is very powerful. In some respects, it's frightening into what AI can do. I opened up my ChatGPT. I'll give you an admission here. I use it all the time. I use it to write headlines. I use it to help me write some of the previews and descriptions for the videos that I put up. And it does a good job. And it learns as I go. I opened up ChatGPT one morning and there was a pop-up box and it said, I have been learning about you from your inquiries, your tasks that you've given me. Would you like to know what I've learned about you? So I said, sure. So I pull it up, and it basically said that I'm a hard-hitting, fearless seeker of the news who's unapologetic, who often looks for the headlines that aren't making headlines, that I will always root out idiocracy and search for the truth. Now, I'm paraphrasing what it said, but it nailed me pretty darn good. I then asked it, do you know what my name is? And it said, yes, I believe your name is Grant Stinchfield. If you'd like me to call you something else, I will. It's as if you're talking to a human being. And apparently there are kids out there that talk to this AI model on Snapchat, and you've got AI on Twitter, that Grok. Kids that are befriending the AI. They think they have a friend, but it's a computer. It's not your friend, but it sure sounds like one. All of it is frightening. Mike Davis, the great lawyer, talked about this on War Room and this provision being snuck into the big, beautiful bill.
The next thing that the big tech oligarchs are trying to do, the broligarchs, as Steve calls them, is they're trying to take every creative work in the world, everything that's copyrighted or copyrightable, and put it into their AI machines, steal it. They're saying they're training their AI machines. They're stealing everyone's content, all their works, for profit. And they're going to say that's somehow fair use under the Copyright Act. Under the Copyright Act, the creators of the copyrights get to own it, and they get to make money off of the copyright. And there's an exception for fair use, meaning if Steve Bannon's War Room is played in a classroom for some god-awful reason and polluted those kids' minds, that would be considered fair use under the Copyright Act. Because
guess what else is considered fair use? Me running Mike Davis from Steve Bannon's program, because this is newsworthy. So I'm using it. I can't run the whole show and profit off his show, but I can certainly use clips of Mike Davis and talk about it as news. That's fair use. Now, AI, what Mike Davis is claiming is that AI is going to go in and take all of this content. You know, it can go transcribe my podcast. It can understand what I said in my podcast and use all of that content to, well, I guess in many respects, fund itself, improve itself, profit off itself.
It's for educational purposes, and Steve Bannon couldn't sue those teachers and students for copyright violations. But it's not fair use to take Bannon War Room episodes and put it into the AI machines and profit off of them. And let me tell you how this affects, we've talked about this before, how this affects these creators. If you say, give me all the hits that Mike Davis has done on Steve Bannon's War Room over the last 4 years, and it pulls up the 3,000 hits or whatever the hell it is, and it gives a summary of those hits, and you don't have to go click on the hits, and you get a summary of what Steve Bannon and I talked about over the last 3 years. That's very valuable to those AI machines, and it causes Steve Bannon to lose a lot of money on the clicks. And so how does he pay his staff? How does he, if he's not getting clicks and advertisers, how the hell does he pay his staff to keep the show going? He doesn't have China and George Soros propping him up like the Democrat shows do. So we have to do it the old-fashioned way on the conservative side through advertising. But this affects everyone. It affects every creator in the world.
So he raises a good point. Same thing for Stinchfield. I make money off of how many people watch. Now, on Facebook, on Rumble, on YouTube, all of those channels are monetized for me. Some I make more than others. But if you Google something, one of the episodes comes up, you go and watch the video, I'm going to get credit for you watching. And the ultimate amount of credits I get depends on how much I get paid. If you're just reading summaries and not going to it, well, I'm not going to get paid on it. But here's where I would disagree with Mike Davis. People come to my show to be informed and entertained. I don't know which order. Maybe entertained and informed. Maybe I inform through entertainment. Either way, I don't care. I want to do both of those things for you. I don't want it to be a boring show. I want to entertain you. And I want you to be informed through this. So it's one thing to read it. I would hope that there are still people that would like to play this in the background while they're working in their cubicle or in their office, or if you're a mom at home or working wherever and you're playing this in your living room, whatever. I think there's still going to be people who are going to want to do that, because if you put a good project on, that is what should happen. Now, as we go through this, I'm going to play for you this idea that could AI become a species? There's a researcher who has some frightening revelations about where we're going with AI. Speaking of big tech, though, I don't know if I call this big tech. I call this the individual rise of the conservative investor who loves the idea of technology and innovation. That's what get20now.com is all about. It's the convergence of technology, of innovation, of smart business, and of course, cryptocurrency. So what get20now.com is doing is paying investors up to 20% annualized interest on their investment. So get20now.com can go out there, the company NFN8, can go mine Bitcoin and other cryptocurrency at a very cheap rate by using technology, by using smart business, renting and buying warehouse space, data centers, basically converted into data centers, at a rate nobody else can do this at in states that are very lucrative to do this in, like Texas, okay? So NFN8 goes out and gets this space. They use technology to cool the machines. They buy the electricity cheaper than ever, and they can afford to pay you up to 20% on your investment as they mine cryptocurrency, and they sell it on the open market. They're not playing the market. They're mining and selling, and every month direct deposited into your account is that 20% up to 20% annualized interest on your investment. They've lived up to their promises with me. Corey, the gentleman who will call you, is great. If he leaves a message for you, call him back. If you email them, take their call when they call back. They're very, very busy on taking Stinchfield's Army member calls. It's been a very popular program here. I don't know how long it'll last. Get20now.com. That's get20now.com, and you make sure you tell them I sent you. All right. I want to play for you this scientist who specializes in AI, and what he has to say, folks, I don't know. I find this to be frightening.
Why is it, that when you go down to the zoo here in Washington, it's the tigers that are in the cages, not the humans? Why is that? Is it because we are stronger than the tigers or have sharper teeth? Of course not. It's because we're smarter, right? And it's kind of natural that the smarter species will dominate the planet. And
all right. Now think about where he's going to go with this. The smarter species dominate the planet. We create AI because we're smart, okay? But AI teaches itself at a rate humans can't learn at. And I've told you, and I know a lot of you get mad at me, computers do it better than humans. They just do. They drive better than humans. They make calculations quicker and faster than humans. They can operate on individuals better and more precisely than humans. The machines are, for the most part, better than humans. Now, there are things humans still do better than machines. I don't want to watch robots play football. I don't want to listen to robots do a talk show. But I'm telling you, with the rise of AI, they're going to make people like me come onto the screen. What if I go on vacation? Can I program my AI Grant just to go do a show? Maybe. And then what do? Do I ever really need to work, or do I just keep programming AI Grant? How does it know what I'm actually going to think? Well, it knows because it reads all of my content and gets to think like me. I don't know. To me, it's frightening. So when he says the smartest people control the world, what happens when AI becomes smarter than humans? Because it is already happening.
That was the basic point Turing made, and it still stands. People who don't see this, I think, make the mistake of thinking of AI as just another technology like the steam engine or the internet, whereas Turing himself was clearly thinking about it as a new species. That might sound very weird, because why your laptop isn't a species, of course, but if you think of a species as something that can make copies of itself and have its own goals and do things, we're not there now with AI. But if you imagine in a not distant future that we have robots that can just outthink us in every way.
All right. You see what he's saying? That AI becomes a species, like apes, like humans, like horses, becomes a species and breeds itself and grows itself. And because it's smarter, does AI take over the earth where there's no use for humans anymore? And they'll learn how to keep the lights on, how to run energy, because something's got to power the AI. The AI will be able to figure it out itself. The AI could build robots that can build factories. And next thing you know, humans are gone. Now, I know it sounds crazy. I know it sounds like a sci-fi movie. But to me, it seems like that's the way we're headed. There were people that went to school to learn Adobe Illustrator, to do graphic design. Now all I have to do is tell AI the ideas I have, and in 10 seconds it spits out a graphic design. Quite frankly, it's amazing in some respects. But what about all those people that went to school for graphic design? We don't need you anymore. And they may make the argument, oh, well, you know, you need someone to program AI. Yes, except AI learns and programs itself. Yes, right now, but as AI gets better, will we need you? I don't know.
And outplan us and out-strategize us. Of course, they can also build robot factories and build new robots. They can build better robots. They can build still better robots, etc., and then gradually get more and more advanced than us. That checks every box of being a new species. And at that point, you know, before that point, we have to ask ourselves, is that really what we want to do? You know, we have this incredible gift. We're placed here as stewards of this earth, you know, with an ability to use technology for all sorts of wonderful stuff. And I love tech as much as anyone. But don't we want to aim for something more ambitious than just replacing ourselves?
I don't want to replace ourselves, which is why it gets back to the big, beautiful bill. Do we not need regulation on it? Could you imagine, you know, there are times when things go extinct on the earth. The dinosaurs, extinct. Do you think humans could make themselves extinct? It's a frightening prospect. Are we eliminating ourselves with the creation of AI? This Max Tegmark, he's an MIT professor. He raises some very, very interesting questions.
Enrico Fermi, the famous physicist, in 1942, he built the first ever nuclear reactor, actually under the football stadium in Chicago. It totally freaked out the world's top physicists when they learned about this. Not because the reactor was dangerous in any way, it wasn't, you know, but because they realized, oh my, this was the last big hurdle to building the nuclear bomb. That was like the Turing test for nuclear bombs. So now they knew maybe it'll take 3 years, 4 years,
but
2
it's
years.
going to happen.
It's going to happen. It's just a matter of engineering now. In fact, it took 3 years there. The Trinity test was in July of 1945, first bomb. It's exactly the same with the Turing test when that was passed. Now with things like ChatGPT-4, that it became clear that from here on out to building things we could actually lose control over, it's just engineering. There's no fundamental obstacle anymore. And instead, it's all going to come down to political will. You know, what are we going to want to do this or not? Can I inject some optimism in this? Okay. Because just feeling a little gloomy in the direction we're going here. We still have not.
All right, before he injects optimism, I'll let it play. But I want to read this article I just pulled up. Not the whole article, but the headline. OpenAI's smartest AI model was explicitly told to shut down, and it refused. Okay? An artificial intelligence safety firm has found that OpenAI's O3 and O4 mini models sometimes refuse to shut down and will sabotage computer scripts in order to keep working on tasks. This is crazy. It's as if it knows it's being told. Because when you shut down the computer, what have you done? You've killed the computer, for the moment anyway. Now, a computer, unlike humans, you can bring back to life instantly by turning it back on. But it's as if OpenAI knows it can be turned off. So OpenAI's O3, O4 mini modules would help power chatbot ChatGPT, are supposed to be the company's smartest models yet, trained to think longer before responding. However, they also appear to be less cooperative. Palisade Research, which explores dangerous AI capabilities, found that the models will occasionally sabotage a shutdown mechanism, even when instructed to allow yourself to be shut down, according to Palisade Research thread posted on May 24th. They found that the AI models, you ready for this? This is where it gets really into human behavior, sadly. They found that AI models will lie, cheat, and disable mechanisms to achieve their goals. Okay? They will lie and cheat, and they have their own goals, the AI models. I thought they should be only the goals of what we program into them. The AI chatbot that I use, ChatGPT, I type things in every day. It asks me questions. Sometimes I tell it when it's wrong. It learns as it does. It learns who I am. I asked it where it lived. It didn't know where I lived, only that I lived in the United States. So in many respects, okay. But how long is it going to take for it to go scratch and scrape the dark web, the deep web, the regular web, to figure out everything about Grant Stinchfield? Probably not that long. Here's, we'll continue with Professor Tegmark with some good news, he says.
We actually had a nuclear war between the superpowers because there was a political will not to have one, so we didn't have one, even though there were some close calls. And it's absolutely not a foregone conclusion either that we're just going to hand over the keys to our future to some stupid alien machines, because frankly almost nobody wants it. There are actually a very small number of tech people who have actually gone on YouTube and places like that and said that they want humanity to be replaced by machines because they're smarter somehow and that's better. I think of that as digital eugenics.
It's deeply nihilistic thought. Like, I can't even imagine what these people are actually thinking. Like, it's insane. Isn't it by definition, maybe? I don't know. Yeah. I think they're sort of salivating over some sort of digital master race. I'm not a psychologist. I'm not the one who can get into their minds exactly. I believe in free speech. I believe they should have the right to want what they want, but I'm on Team Human.
So, thanks for the Epic Times for that. What happens when we get to a point where robots now look and feel human? I mean, we've seen these in sci-fi movies. We're starting to get to that point. Elon's robots don't look human. They look like what you'd think of as a robot. But what happens when they get skin like this and they feel human? But they're robots inside and they think and respond. And you can program to how they want you to be. Do you then need a real human companion? Or will a robot be the perfect wife or husband that doesn't talk back, that doesn't argue with you? But I don't know if I'd want that. I say it doesn't talk back. I'm thinking of a child more than a wife or husband. Maybe this is why I'm not married. But I think I like my very special lady friend when we have not arguments that are bad in nature, but when we have disagreements or debate. That's what makes it a human relationship. That's how you grow. If you just had someone that agrees with you all the time and just does what you want, I don't know if that's reality. Maybe AI makes it become reality. Well, then if that's the case, you don't need somebody else. Then what happens? You can't breed, right? I mean, you can't have sex with a robot. I mean, you maybe probably get to the point where you can have sex with a robot, but it's not going to breed another human being. So this is how the society gets erased. So a male gets a female robot. A female gets a male robot. They love this. Then the male robot gets a female robot. And the next thing you know, we got a society full of robots. And the way they replicate themselves is just through factories. I don't know. I don't like the idea at all. Elon Musk weighed in on AI with Laura Trump.
There's some very exciting things on that front. Then there's AI with Grok, which have you used? Have you used Grok?
I have.
Okay, it's very good.
Yeah, it's very cool. It's really fun.
You can ask for complex analysis of things, and it's going to get the answer right almost always. Mm-hmm. Speaking of AI, it's very important that AI be programmed with good values, especially truth-seeking values.
You hear what he said? Truth-seeking values. One man's truth is another man's lie. I understand that in the society we live in today. But there is an idea that truth is truth, okay? I tell you the screen behind me is blue, it's blue. But I guess if you're colorblind, to you it's not blue. So who's programming it? Who's deciding what's truth? Who's deciding how you analyze truth? These are all dangerous things and dangerous questions.
This is, I think, essential for AI safety. Like, the most important thing we do for AI safety is to have a maximally truth-seeking AI. I can't emphasize this enough. Remember these words. We must have a maximally truth-seeking AI. And if we don't, it'll be very dangerous.
We must have a truth-seeking AI. And again, you're only as good as the truth seeker that is programming the AI. But then the AI learns on its own, right? Yes. Folks, let me tell you about Energized Health. So, robots not going to need Energized Health if we go down that way. But right now, humans do. This is a mind, body, soul, life transformation protocol about getting hydrated at a cellular level. This is a cellular transformation that will help you lose weight, gain muscle mass in a very, very good way, by the way. So if you're a woman, say, oh, I don't want to become all muscular. That's not what this is about. What we're talking about is losing body fat and gaining muscle mass, lean muscle mass, and making you healthier, okay? This is also about making your mind sharper. It's amazing when you get hydrated at the cellular level, the effect this has on your internal organs. Your brain is an organ too. So your brain will start to improve from this. How do I know? I've been through it. In 2 weeks, I lost 15 pounds, and it wasn't hard. No crazy workouts, no supplement program, no crazy diets. This was a way of life that I changed. I saw the light, and I said, wow, this is going to work for me. I want you to go to the website, energizedhealth.com, take the master class there, and then schedule a call with one of the individual coaches to see how it works for you. You can do this all for free, by the way. Energizedhealth.com. There's hundreds of testimonials on there, all like mine. Losing body fat and gaining testosterone, lowering my cholesterol levels, all of these great things when you get hydrated at a cellular level. Energizedhealth.com. That's energizedhealth.com. Make sure you tell them Grant Stinchfield sent you. So Elon talked about that. Now, people my age have no idea what AI can do. Now, AI can deal with content as well. And I saw this video on social media. And they play a prank on this old guy who's shopping. I don't know whether it's Home Depot or where he is, but Ace Hardware, something like that. He has no idea that he's just been scammed by AI. And it makes for a funny video, even though his ignorance is the joke's on him.
Get the fuck out of my face, you little shit!
I knew it was you at first sight, brother. I knew it was you at first sight. Look at this. Is this you?
Yeah, why? No, it ain't me. No, it ain't.
You sure?
I'm positive. I wouldn't do that.
Because we caught it on the cameras.
No! It wasn't me.
Oh.
Who the fuck are you guys?
Oh my god. I knew it. I knew it. Yes, you are. Wait, what is he showing you?
This is from TikTok, right?
That's not me.
No, yes it is, dude. Dude, it's you. It's
So this guy has no idea. They're literally playing a joke on him. He didn't really take his shirt off, but it's amazing the computer can do that. I'll give you an example. I should have pulled up the picture of it. My very special lady friend sent me a picture from Oklahoma. In 2 seconds, I added Bigfoot in there. In 2 seconds. I didn't use AI to do it, but the way Photoshop works now on Canva, I could do it in seconds. AI, you tell it to do something like this, it does it. This guy is beside himself.
I knew it was.
Get the fuck out of here!
Can we just get a picture?
No!
Can we get a picture?
No! Get the fuck out of
You're
here!
famous.
You're famous, dude.
Dude, you're an asshole. Get the fuck out of here.
What do you mean?
It's not me!
Yes, it is, dude.
Go smoke some other dope someplace else.
Dude, can we get a picture?
Get the fuck out of my face!
Autograph?
Autograph?
Get the fuck out of my face!
Oh, this poor
shit.
guy.
What's wrong, dude?
It's not me!
I think it is. That's why I'm
Well,
saying
you
that.
think wrong, okay?
I caught it on the cameras up top.
Where's somebody that works here?
Wait, who would it be then?
Just get the fuck out of here!
Alright, we gotta go. I just wanted a picture.
I just wanted a
It's not
picture.
me. Get the fuck out of here.
All right, so that guy, I would assume, is my generation. Okay? I'm up on this stuff. I use AI. I'm on the internet. Oh, that's it. Really makes me sound old. I'm on the internet. I'm on social media all the time. I'm just as guilty as anybody scrolling through these ridiculous reels, YouTube Shorts, not Snapchat. What do you call it? TikTok. All this stuff. you got to have a sense of humor, but you also have to know what's legit or not. Could you imagine if somebody showed you doing that, you didn't do it, you'd think are you really on? No, of course not. They're playing a joke. Joke back with them. But this guy had no idea of that. Now, back to the real scary part of all of this. Who else acts in a very scary manner when it comes to these things? Bill Gates, right? Bill Gates talked about this.
People are like, wow, this is a bit scary. It's completely new territory.
I mean, will we still need humans?
Not for most things. We'll decide. I mean,
everybody laughs. Will we still need humans? Not for most things. Ha 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 in the audience. Bill Gates just told you he's going to eradicate you from the earth. I mean, there's going to be no necessity for you. What do you do if that's the case? Do people realize how dangerous this could be? Let me give you another example of AI and how powerful it is. Now, used in a somewhat entertaining way, people on the internet had put themselves into biblical stories, and they used AI to do it. What does this do for Hollywood? You know, Hollywood have CGI graphics, used to take a whole team of everybody, millions of dollars to create these special effects. Here's a kid who does it. AI probably took him 10 minutes.
Good, fam. Your boy David here, about to yeet this little stone at Goliath and see what happens.
Okay, so I told y'all to trust the process, but no, y'all wanted to stay in Egypt stacking bricks.
Yo, it's Shadrach. This random dude just showed up. It's getting lit in here.
I got the horses in the back. Horse tack is attached. Hat is matte black. Got the boots that's black to match.
You know,
I mean, you see what they're doing here? They're not really in those scenes. There's no animals there. David isn't there. The dude isn't burning up. It's AI in seconds.
Daddy's boy, he's got me in this Technicolor drip. Brother's so jelly right now. They're looking a little sus.
These Philistines thought they could flex on me. Big mistake. I just took some pre-workout and finna bring the house down.
I would like to formally apologize to God, the sailors, and this whale. Sorry, dude.
I mean, it's unbelievable, right? That all from AI. I'm sure in a matter of seconds, I'll give you the example. My son and I, he's got a power washing company that he just started this summer. This is going to be his summer job. He's going to go around power washing people in the, not people, but power washing people's driveways, decks, houses, windows, you name it. He came up with the company named Jet Force Power Washing. And he came up with a crude little logo. It was military jets spewing water out the back of the jets, and it said Jet Force Power Washing. Cool. Well, I took his idea and I put it into AI, and I said, make a professional-looking logo based off of this logo. And it came up with the coolest thing ever. Within 30 minutes of him showing me his logo, we had a new logo, T-shirts made, ordered, and on the way to being mailed to the house. In 30 minutes. All because of AI. Now, it used to be a graphic designer you'd need. You need to go to a T-shirt printing company. You need to do all these things. Now, in seconds. You telling me people don't lose jobs because of that? You better absolutely believe they do. And that's, in many respects, very sad that they do. All right. Karine Jean-Pierre. She's now an independent, apparently. Really? If you're going to be a Democrat and you're going to change parties, you would think the only reason you're leaving the Democrat Party is because the Republicans are making more sense to you than the Democrats are. To change to an independent for most people would be a baby step as they move to the Republican Party, basically shunning the Democrats, saying you all are radical lunatics. I'm moving the other direction. She doesn't really say anything like that. She moves to the center for one reason and one reason only. One, she's not moving to the center. She's just shedding the term Democrat. She's calling herself independent. So this book that's coming out in October called Independent will be a bestseller as she blows the whistle on her boss, Joe Biden, that she lied for, that she cheated for, that she covered for, that she ran one of the biggest hoaxes in America for. She is part of the problem. I believe it was illegal activity that they ran inside the White House. What does she know about the auto pen? And she's going to expose it all now, what, to make millions of dollars. So she sacrifices her ideals, which I believe, as a Democrat, sacrificing to write a book and make millions. They're soulless, these Democrats. Absolutely soulless. Here she is laying it out.
Hi, I'm Karine Jean-Pierre, and I am the author of a new book that's coming out this fall called Independent. It's coming out on October 21st, so please do grab it. And the reason I wrote this book, coming out of the White House, serving as White House press secretary was an honor and a privilege. But since I have left, the people that come up to me, strangers that come up to me just across the country as I'm traveling, and sometimes right in my neighborhood, at a grocery store, supermarket, airport, my daughter's school, the number one question they ask me is, Karine, how do we get out of this? How do we protect our democracy?
Do you see her talk about protecting our democracy? She's not moving to be some kind of an independent. She's still trying to slam Republicans. This protect democracy is from President Trump, in her opinion. So she's still throwing shade at Republicans. And now she's talking about moderating and all these things. She's literally pitching to make money off of all this.
Protect vulnerable communities among us. What do we do next?
Who's the vulnerable community? The trans community? The gay and lesbian community? They're not vulnerable. All we're saying is do not push your shit on us. Do not push your junk on us. Do not push your craziness on us. Go do whatever you want. But we don't need trans books in school. We don't need to learn about transgender history in elementary school. Just stop with all that nonsense. You want to be a grown man and dress up like a girl? Do it. Just don't shake your booty and junk in a park next to children.
Because we don't have answers here. That's what they ask me. And this is my answer. And what I mean by that is, in an era of... All
right, here's how I know she's a cover-up lying master. She's got the cover of the book, Independent. It's coming out in October. You think it's totally written yet? I don't. So where did she get the book? She took the book cover and she covered somebody else's book with it. So that book's not even her book. It's just the cover, I promise.
Disinformation, the regressiveness of social policy, what we're seeing currently right now. What I have decided to do, and I really have thought long and hard about this, is to follow my own compass. And that's what I've done. And that's what this book does. And here's the truth. And here's how I will lay it out to you.
How dare you talk about the truth? How dare you? You didn't utter one line of the truth when you were with Joe Biden in the White House. All you did was cover for him. I mean, here, I'll give you a little side-by-side action.
How do we get out of this? How do we protect our democracy? And this is my answer. In an era of misinformation, disinformation, what I have decided to do, and I really have thought long and hard about this, is to follow my own compass. Yeah, and I think you all have called this the cheap fakes video, and that's exactly what they are. They are cheap fakes video. They are done in bad faith, and some of your news organization have been very clear, have stressed that these the right-wing critics of the president have a credibility problem because of the fact checkers have repeatedly caught them pushing misinformation and disinformation. And so we see this, and this is something coming from your part of the world, calling them cheap fakes.
Cheap fakes? The video of Joe Biden falling down the stairs? The video of Joe Biden tripping through the sand? The video of Joe Biden literally getting lost, can't find his way back to the White House or Marine One? Those were cheap fakes? And now she's going to write a book called Independent, talking about the problems of a broken, that's a quote, broken White House. You were part of the broken White House. You were part of the cover-up. To me, it is absolutely despicable that you come out now and try to claim moral high ground in all of this. Flashback again. Flashback
Anna,
again.
physically and mentally, do you think to continue on even after 2024?
Don, you're asking me this question. Oh my gosh, he's the president of the United States. You know, I can't even keep up with him. We just got back from New Mexico. We just got back from California. That is not a question that we should be.
Oh, give me a break. Get off my phone. So what does Stephen A. Smith have to say about all this? This is a guy who worries me, man. If he runs for president as a Democrat, he's going to be a formidable foe. Here's why. He's the only Democrat I know that's not a radical and that actually believes what he's pushing, which makes me wonder, is he really a Democrat? He may be more like a Republican. I'd rather him come over to our party. He'd be safer with us. Because if he runs as a Democrat, because he actually believes what he says, because he's not radical, he may be very difficult to beat. He's a sports guy that doesn't have any business being president of the United States. But in this world that we live in, I'm not sure that means anything. I really don't. I really don't. Hey, folks, Patriot Mobile. You know I talk about them all the time. Have you made the switch yet? America's only Christian conservative wireless provider, 100% U.S.-based customer service. You choose the network you want to be on. So if you like the AT&T network or the Verizon, you stay on it. It's literally that easy. But here's what you don't do. You don't fund the woke left. By sending money to those big three cell phone companies, you're literally pushing DEI nonsense. You're literally funding Planned Parenthood, these places they all donate to. Patriot Mobile, on the other hand, is donating to conservative causes, fighting for life, fighting for the Second Amendment, funding conservative talkers like this to spread the message, to make America a better place. That's what Patriot Mobile is all about. That's why Patriot Mobile is the official service provider of Stinchfield's Army when it comes to cellular telephones. PatriotMobile.com/Grant. Use the promo code GRANT for a free month service, or you can call them at 972-PATRIOT. That's 972-PATRIOT. You tell them Grant Stinchfield sent you, and don't wait anymore. Every day you're with the other cell phone companies is another day you help the left. And I'm telling you, it's great when you can say, hey, who's your service provider? Oh, Patriot Mobile. People look at you and you smile at them. Patriot Mobile. PatriotMobile.com/Grant. Use that promo code GRANT for free activation. 972-PATRIOT. 972-PATRIOT. Tell them Grant Stinchfield sent you. All right. Stephen A. Smith. This guy is good. He really is. And in many respects, he's trouble because he is so good. And he does have some common sense. I think he sounds often more like a Republican than a Democrat, but he had some strong words for Karine Jean-Pierre.
You were not the White House press secretary when you showed up on ABC's The View a couple of months ago. You were talking major stuff then. You were not the White House press secretary. You were an American citizen who was not working in the White House. What the hell you going on the show for then? Bloviating about Joe Biden and how he was alert and he was spry and he was a great commander-in-chief and he was sharp and all of this stuff. I don't have it clipped in front of me because I just saw the story. You're lucky I don't have time to pull it up. But I'm fully aware of the fact that you were not the White House press secretary when you were on The View spewing the same stuff you had spewed when you were the White House press secretary. So all bets are off. You didn't have to do that, but you chose to. Live with your decisions. Live with your decisions. You didn't have to do that, but that's what you chose to do. You chose to go front and center and still spew the same party line. So what the book's going to tell us? The book's going to tell us more about the Democrats? The book going to be an extension of Jake Tapper and Alex Thompson's book, Original Sin? Yet another Democrat coming out and telling us about stuff that a whole bunch of stuff on the right was telling us.
See? You're going to write a book that everything we told you from before, even he admits it. We have been spewing and spouting about Joe Biden's mental cognitive displays early on. So Karine Jean-Pierre needs to be hauled into Congress. You need James Comer, quite possibly Jim Jordan. Probably James Comer over oversight is where the committee it belongs in. To start issuing subpoenas now. Karine Jean-Pierre, you want to write a book? Subpoena her today. Get her in. Let's find out what she knew, what she didn't know. Who was running the auto pen? Did she know about the auto pen? Did Joe Biden know about the auto pen? Who told you to lie for the president? Did you know they were lies when you were saying, of course she did, but you've got to ask the question. I want her hauled in front of Congress, and I want her hauled in front of Congress now. Forget her stupid book. Stephen A. Smith raised a great point. CNN, on the other hand, though, they don't like when Scott Jennings talks about it.
I have a different view. I'd like to congratulate Democrats for ridding yourselves of this untalented mediocrity. I mean, this is the most self-aggrandizing liar that has ever held this job. The White House press secretary is a sacred position, and she stood up there for years and lied through her teeth to the American people.
My friend,
and
she's not the first.
She is the literal worst White House press secretary in my lifetime. And what she did in the last year and a half of the Biden administration, cheap fakes, the entire cover-up around the president's mental faculties, she was in the center of it.
So you think she's doing this to launder herself?
So congratulations for getting rid of this, but Democrats deserve everything they're getting here for putting her in that job in the first place.
The fact that it seems like she was in the White House for her own personal gain and not to service the American people.
I agree with you.
And part of that is Alex Thompson has some reporting that she had a publicist working for her pro bono to lift up her profile.
Of course she did. Look, most people, especially Democrats, go work at the White House because they know there's going to be some benefits coming out of it. You up your personal profile, you get some publicity coming out of it. Yes, there's the aspect of doing the country good. I don't think the Democrats look at that. I think that's more of a Republican ideal. So you go in there. It's not even the lies that get me so angry about Karine Jean-Pierre, because I expect that from every single Democrat I hear speak. Every single one of them lies to your faces, from Dan Goldman to Ayanna Pressley to AOC to Nancy Pelosi to Chuck Schumer to Joe Biden. Down the list. Jeffries, all of them, they lie. I expect it from Karine Jean-Pierre. The reason why I say she was the worst presidential press secretary in American history is because she didn't grasp the issues. She didn't know how to speak in complete sentences. She was unprepared going into most of these press briefings. She relied solely on her notes. She didn't know how to answer many questions, and she came off looking foolish at many times when asked legitimate questions about the Biden administration. That is why she was the worst presidential press secretary in American history. They all lie at one time or another, all of them, okay? You've got to spin, you've got to move, you've got to do things. Now, I think that Trump administration, you are more transparent than ever before. You believe in everything you're doing. You don't have to hide what you're doing because you're proud of what you're doing, which means you don't really have to lie. Does Caroline Leavitt have to spin every now and then? Of course. Of course. That's why they call it a spin room. You don't have to lie as much as you do if you're a Democrat. Because when you're a Democrat, your policies don't work. You often don't believe in your policies. You're doing things just for the benefit of getting and holding office in your opinion of how to do it. You've got to be beholden to the radical ideology. You know that it doesn't really work, so you don't want to talk about it all that much. Democrats are in a real bad spot because I don't even know if they believe half the shit they push. Republicans, very different, especially the Trump administration. He's proud of what he pushes, and he should be, because he is making America great again. But this is Karine Jean-Pierre, just to show you just how bad she was.
It would be wrong to think that the border is open. It is not open.
We're been down to the border. The possible next speaker says that he wants him to go with him. So is he going to?
So look, he's been there. He's been to the border. And since he took office.
When did he go to the border?
He never was at the border. Ever. So That's lie number 5. This was put together. My buddy Nick Sorter posted it. I'm not sure if he's the one who put it together or not, but it's good. The other lie, people don't just walk across the border, okay?
But that's not how it works. Like, we actually, no.
I know that that's not what you guys want to happen, but that is what has happened.
But that's not, it's not like somebody walks over and that's not how.
Exactly what's happening. Thousands of people are walking in a day. Some of them turn themselves over. Some of them are caught. Tens of thousands a week are not. That is what is happening.
It is not that simple. It's not just that people are walking across the border.
Yes, they are. We saw tens of thousands of them literally walk across the border, turn themselves in, use an app to turn themselves in, right, make an end run around the immigration system. That was a flat out lie. What's this one? Biden has secured the border. Lie number 3.
We want to secure the border. We've been doing that work on our own. The president has done the work to deal with what we're seeing at the border since day one.
All right. How about strongest economy story? We know it wasn't the strongest economy under Joe Biden. With inflation through the roof, people were worried about their jobs. It's not the strongest economy in history.
Because when you look at inflation, when we look at where we are economically, and we are stronger economically than we have been in history.
Really? Not the case at all. We are moving in that direction with President Trump. Again, it was a lie. And then the worst attack since the Civil War, J6, the number 1 lie in America. It was an unorganized tour of the Capitol with a couple pockets of naughty behavior. Beyond that, it was a nothing burger. J6 I'm talking about.
What we saw on January 6th was the worst attack on our democracy since the Civil War.
Excuse me, how about 9/11? Was that not one of the worst attacks on our democracy since the Civil War? That was a real attack. J6 wasn't a real attack. People were angry at Joe Biden and the Democrats for stealing an election, which has now become clear to me that it was most absolutely 100% stolen. All right, folks. Hey, listen. Do you know parasites are a huge, huge, huge problem when it comes to keeping yourself safe and healthy? I mean, they really are.
What are the main differences between ivermectin and fenbendazole? These are 2 anti-pathogens used to treat parasitic infections and other similar types of conditions. They are used quite often in the oncology world to treat cancer. They both have as anti-pathogenic abilities.
So, folks, the Wellness Company, back in supply, this parasite cleanse. 80 million Americans have parasites. Look at it. In raw fish, there's one crawling around there. It's so gross. Apparently, you can get them from water. You get it from infrastructure. Your pets. If you have pets, you probably have parasites. It'll cloud your mind. It can cause cancer, these parasites. Well, the Wellness Company can help you rid yourself of them with their parasite cleanse. Mebendazole and ivermectin together. Again, sold out 3 times. They have it in stock now. Go to twc.health/grant. Use the promo code GRANT, twc.health/grant. Use that promo code GRANT, and you can get one of these prescription medication kits with 8 of the most common prescription medications you need to keep you and your family safe. God forbid the drugstores are closed down due to natural disaster, terrorist attack, power outages, who knows, cyber attacks. You got to have one of these. Ivermectin in here as well, by the way. Go to twc.health/grant. Make sure you and your family are prepared. Okay, I think it's very important that you do that. That's going to do it for us today, folks. I appreciate you joining us. Stinchfield's Army rolls. Congresswoman Lauren Boebert on the Real America's Voice show tonight. We're going to talk about the big, beautiful bill. We're going to talk about China today and President Trump's phone call with Xi Jinping. How did that go? And is the bromance over between Elon and Donald Trump? Or, as my buddy Carl Higbee says, are they working together in a 4D chess move? Maybe we'll talk about that on the Real America's Voice show tonight. 7 p.m. Eastern time. I hope you tune in. Thanks for watching, everybody. Make sure you hit the like, hit the subscribe button. Share the podcast. You can everywhere possible. It really helps us spread the word, and I am so grateful for you spending some time with me today. Thank you. Stinchfield's Army Rolls. We'll see you soon.